Welcome back to the deep dive. So you sent us this incredible stack of sources. We're talking articles, personal notes, just a whole world.
It's a lot, I know.
It is, but it's fantastic. And we're here to, dig out those key things you absolutely need to remember about this deep dive into the great and brilliant empire of Dak.
Right. Our mission today is, it's challenging, but it's really fascinating. We're trying to synthesize this really complex story. It's part political thriller, part magical epic.
And it all centers on this one protagonist, Zhang Ning.
Exactly. She starts as this, simple apprentice who just wants to heal her sister, and she ends up caught in this ancient world-ending plot.
And the whole thing, the entire collapse of this empire, it really hinges on something you don't see in a lot of fantasy.
The intersection of imperial power and this very subtle, very profound magic.
I find that premise just so compelling because we're not dealing with, fireballs and wizards and towers. This is quiet. It's meticulous.
It is.
The poison that destabilized the whole empire wasn't some, secret vial of quicksilver dropped in a cup.
No, it was literally brewed into mass-produced tea bricks.
Which is terrifying when you think about it.
It is. It means the conspirators had to corrupt not just the court, but the entire supply chain, the very thing that provided comfort to the people.
And the magic used to fight it is just as subtle.
Exactly. And you have to understand the context here. This conflict is playing out while Daxi is, it's reeling. There's this fundamental instability.
The emperor is
dead, poisoned.
And that leaves his young daughter, Princess Zhen, her full name is Li Yingzhen, as the regent.
And she's got to be, in her late teens, early 20s?
Something like that. She's fierce, she's smart, but that power vacuum.
And it's aggressively exploited by rivals. You've got these different factions circling.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. On one side, you have the general of Kaisilong. He's a regional powerhouse, basically threatening to roll in with
military might. Right. And then on the other side, you have this deep internal court intrigue, assassination attempts, sabotage, and as we find out, something much, much older and darker moving behind.
And the central thread, the thing connecting this whole unraveling tapestry, is what you called Shennong magic.
Yes, or Shennong Shi for a practitioner. It's this quiet, essential practice of using tea and herb.
But not just for physical healing, right?
Not just for headache. It's about extracting truth, seeing moral sickness, and sort of influencing the spiritual flow of people and places. It's the only viable weapon they have against a magical poison.
And that's the poison that's already killing thousands. And, of course, the one that's got Ning's sister.
Precisely.
This magic sounds like it demands a kind of intense focus, an internal listening.
That's a great way to put it. It makes it perfectly suited for court intrigue, where, everyone is hiding something.
Everyone has a secret.
Everyone. And the sources say it's a joining of traditions, old and new.
Yeah.
It allows a practitioner to see not just the sickness itself, but the source of that sickness.
And Ning's mother was a specialist.
A master, apparently. Her art was coaxing the truth out of the soul. It's described as this very delicate, almost conversational magic. You can't just rip the truth out of someone.
You have to earn the connection.
You have to earn it.
Yeah.
And that ethical requirement is so key because when Ning encounters dark magic later on, it's the feeling of coercion, of compulsion that just physically repulses her.
That sets the stage perfectly then. This deep dive is about understanding not just what Ning did, but the agonizing moral calculus behind all of her choices. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start at the beginning with our protagonist's humble origin.
Right, so we begin with Zhang Ning, or just Ning.
Yeah.
And she's deep in the agricultural heartland of Su province.
A world away from the capital.
A world away. She's a Shennong Tu, which is an apprentice of tea magic. And the sources really stress this contrast between her background and the capital, Jia, where she's headed.
Her world is grounded, right? It's practical.
Totally. She knows rice harvests, local herbs, the rhythm of the seasons, and this gives her magic a very practical, very ethical foundation.
Because she knows where it all comes from.
Exactly. She knows who grew the plants. She knows what pure sustenance feels like. That's her baseline.
And her family life really informs that too, doesn't it? Her father's a physician.
A regular physician, yes.
Yeah.
Dealing with immediate physical ailment. But her true magical inheritance, that comes from her mother.
The one who fled the court.
The one who fled the court. And Ning has her mother's secret hidden Shennong Shi box. It's this collection of tools, herbs, and memories, all subtly tea-scented.
It sounds like this box is more than just tools.
Oh, it's a box of whispers. It contains the memory of a grander, more dangerous life, a life that Ning is now, completely unwittingly stepping back into.
But her quiet life gets violently disrupted, and the driving force for her entire journey is just this agonizing personal guilt.
Yes, she wasn't driven by ambition or a desire for glory. She was driven by the catastrophic illness of her sister, Shu.
Because Ning was the one who brewed the tea.
She brewed that fated cup of tea for her mother and sister, using one of those poisoned bricks.
So she feels directly responsible.
Completely.
Yeah.
She feels like she's the one who let this physical and magical corruption into her family's body. And Shu is dying, and the nature of this poison is absolutely crucial to understand.
It's not just a physical affliction.
No, it can't be cured with common medicine. It is magically sustained.
Can we spend some time on that? On the magical sustainment? Because this is really where the Shennong practice is different from just regular medicine.
Absolutely. The poison acts like a dark form of magic. The regular tonics her father provides, the source documents describe them as a dam.
A dam.
A dam holding back a flood. It slows the progression of the illness. But the dam can only hold for so long. Eventually, it will spill over and consume Shu.
So the poison itself has a kind of will.
It implies that, a malignant magical will. It has to be fought with magic, not just chemistry. And Ning feels this so keenly. The sources say she's consumed by the idea of ingesting the poison herself if it meant easing Shu's suffering.
Wow.
It's this total selfless commitment that just reveals her pure healing heart right from the start.
So let's elaborate on the complexity of this Shennong magic. You said it's about flow and consent, a give and a take. If the poison is compulsion, how does Ning's magic operate ethically?
It operates through connection and openness. Ning's mother specialized in that truth coaxing,
Right.
Which means the magic doesn't force a secret out. It encourages the secret holder to release the pressure. Sort of like easing a knot in a rope.
So if the mind is closed, the magic can't compel it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You cannot tear the truth from the unwilling, which means the practitioners have to be profoundly empathetic. They have to treat the subject not as an object, but as a partner in the magical exchange.
But that ethical constraint must make her vulnerable later on. We know her specialization is truth-seeing and healing. But there's a moment, isn't there, where she's forced to experiment with the darker side.
Yes, and this is a pivotal psychological moment for her.
Yeah.
It's during a training exercise for the competition. She is compelled to manipulate a competition bird, a pia, force it to drink poisoned water to test its reaction. And the magic works. She can do it, but the internal cost is immediate and visceral. She experiences this magical backwash, a recoil.
What does that feel like to her? That sensory detail is so...
It's described as tasting to her of cruelty and power. It's an internal confirmation that this magic, when it's used for coercion or malice, is profoundly corrupting. It's not just an intellectual rejection of, the dark arts. It is a physical and spiritual repulsion.
It stains her.
It stains her core being, which is rooted in healing and connection. And this small moment tells you everything you need to know about her moral sensitivity, a sensitivity that many of the court figures she's about to meet completely lack.
And it sets the stage for that agonizing choice she has to make later with Kang. Despite this moral compass, her immediate mission is purely practical. It's born of desperation.
It is. The royal scroll announcing the competition for the court, Shennong, arrives in her remote village, and she sees it as the one impossible path forward.
Her goal isn't the title or the prestige.
No, not at all. It's the royal favor the winner received. Ning plans to leverage that favor to demand access to the best imperial physicians.
The ones who have read the pulse of the emperor himself.
Those are the ones. She needs their deep, specialized knowledge of imperial medicine to counter the very poison that killed the emperor and is now killing her sister.
And the sacrifice required just to begin the journey, it just underscores the sheer scale of the risk.
It does. She has to pawn her mother's necklace. It's one of the last physical links she has to her mother's legacy and her own past.
That necklace is so much more than collateral, isn't it?
It's a symbolic commitment. She is sacrificing her past security, her memory of her mother, for this completely uncertain future in the dangerous capital, all for Shu.
It's a choice that defines her character right there.
Absolutely. She's willing to give up everything, even parts of her own identity and history, to save her sister. It's an emotionally devastating choice that pushes her directly into the political viper pit.
So Ning steps off the ferry from Su province and arrives in Jia, the capital, and her internal landscape just clashes violently with the external environment.
Oh, completely. This is the city where her parents met. It's supposed to be filled with this beautiful, historic architecture, the bustle of trade.
And the sense her mother described.
Exactly. The heady sense of blossoms and incense. It should feel like a homecoming.
But it doesn't.
Instead, it feels alien and hostile. The sources describe the palace as this cold, rigid machine. You've got stern-faced officials, heavily armed guards, and rigid rules that govern every single interaction.
It's immediately clear this is a place where every word is...
And every action is political.
The competition itself, which is held in the ironically named Residence of Harmonious Spring, it just reinforces this.
It does. And you have to picture the mix of contenders. It's mostly older, established men, and then 11 younger women, including Ning.
And the trials are a public spectacle.
A huge one. It's a demonstration of skill in front of the absolute highest officials of Doxy.
We need to pause here and identify who these key players are because they really represent the warring factions of the empire.
For sure. At the center of it all is Princess Zhen, Li Yingzhen. She's the regent, and she's struggling to assert her authority.
And her robe is a key detail.
A huge detail. It's embroidered with silver mountain peaks and winding rivers. She is literally wearing the political burden and the scope of the kingdom on her shoulder.
Then you have the court conservatives and the regional powers.
Right. There's the Minister of Rights, Song Ling, who represents rigid tradition. And then there's Marquis Quang of Anay.
The tea baron.
Yeah. He's a powerful man whose wealth and influence stem from the fact that his province is where the most precious tea originates. His political clout is based entirely on controlling the very commodity that Ning cherishes.
And finally, there's Grand Chancellor Zhu.
The imposing one. He's the severe figure whose power seems to transcend any specific political faction. He's the voice of absolute authority and tradition. He's the man who knows where all the skeletons are buried.
So this assembly, they're judging competence, yes, but mostly they're assessing political loyalty.
100%. And the first trial confirms this immediately.
Ning, coming from her grounded rural background, causes a mess.
She does. She quotes the revolutionary Bai,
arguing that tea is for everyone, not just for the nobility.
And we need to analyze why that quote is so inflammatory. It's not just a statement about, table manners. It's a profound challenge to the entire economic and class structure of the empire.
She's essentially calling for agrarian revolution.
In the middle of the palace?
Yeah.
By suggesting that tea, the literal engine of trade and status, belongs to the masses.
And Marquis Quang, whose whole identity is tied to controlling that trade, he erupts.
He snarls at her. He says she is calling the nobility indulgent and spoiled. This is her first major political misstep. Her skill is secondary. Her perceived political alignment is paramount.
And then the precariousness of the court is just instantly, violently confirmed.
Mm-hmm. Before the first round can even conclude, there's an assassination attempt. An arrow comes flying in and sticks, quivering, right in the judge's table.
A direct strike against Princess Sun.
And the central authority. Ning is incredibly lucky to even proceed to the next round. The princess basically grants it due to the sheer chaotic circumstances of the attack.
The shift to the second trial is jarring. They go from political chaos to this highly visceral test of magical integrity.
Yes, they have to discern poison. There are 5 cups prepared by an entertainer. 2 have specific painful poisons. 1 is magically empty, and 2 are clean.
And they have to choose one to drink.
They have to drink it. This tests the very essence of Shennong magic. Ning doesn't just, look for a discoloration or a funny smell.
She uses her magic.
She uses her magic to connect with the cups, and in doing so, she effectively experiences the symptoms firsthand without fully ingesting the toxins.
So she feels the nausea.
She feels the sensation of the poison that causes vomiting, and then the sharp, striking pain of the other one.
She's literally putting her spiritual self in danger just to discern purity. It's a phenomenal demonstration of...
It is. And she chooses the empty third cup, the one where the magic indicates no physical or magical presence. It confirms her acute diagnostic skill.
But the shadow of sabotage is still hanging over her, the competition.
Varied. She later meets a woman named Wu Yi,
her mother's former friend.
Yeah, now connected to a steward Yang at the court. And Yading reveals that someone, likely a servant, manipulated by the wealthy Marquis Quang, who was still furious about the revolutionary Bai, quote, switched out Ning's high-quality silver needle tea during that first round.
So even her early success was almost thwarted by a petty political maneuver.
Exactly. But this conversation with Yading is pivotal for Ning's understanding of her own hidden legacy.
Because it reveals why her mother fled.
Yading confirms that Ning's mother wasn't just some minor practitioner. She was a respected Shennong who had used her magic to save the Empress when she was pregnant with Princess Zhen.
She was an imperial savior.
She was. But a subsequent scandal, followed by her own pregnancy with Ning, caused her to flee the palace. She believed her name had been expunged from all the records.
That changes everything for Ning, doesn't it?
It changes everything. Her mother didn't just escape a hard life. She was escaping a dangerous political inheritance. Ning is not just some anonymous apprentice from the provinces. She's the daughter of a woman who risked everything for the current reigning family.
Which places an even heavier emotional and political burden on her.
A much heavier. Because now she knows she's not just fighting for Shu. She's fighting to reclaim her family's honor and, in a way, complete her mother's unfinished work.
Ning's induction into the court's deception deepens pretty dramatically when she meets Kang.
Yes. And initially, he presents himself as Bo, just a wealthy, earnest, and undeniably charming boy.
He does a good deed.
He does. He defends a young child accused of stealing fruit in the marketplace, and it shows this genuine immediate concern for the common person, which is part of what draws Ning in.
Ning notes his appearance, right? The confidence of jade trees in the wind.
Yes, and this initial impression of nobility and integrity is what makes what happens later so profoundly conflicting.
Their bond forms over tea.
Naturally, but it's a special, dangerous brew, golden key tea, and it's described explicitly as a tea of secrets.
And when they sip it, the magic happens.
The magical connection is immediate and immersive. The world of the tea house literally blurs and fades away, leaving only the two of them connected.
And this is where Ning's truth-coaxing specialty comes into full focus.
It does. The golden key allows her to pry into Kang's mind, pulling on the very strands of his inner self.
What does she see in that moment before he pulls back?
She sees the complexity, she sees vulnerability, and she sees the earnestness beneath the surface of his deception. She sees his genuine worry for his mother's people, the loon.
It's an intimate, deep communion.
It is. It confirms their natural, magical, and emotional compatibility. But the connection breaks abruptly when Kang, realizing the depth of her power, recoils. He instantly closes his mind off.
And then the revelation of his true identity just shatters that.
Completely. He is Kang, son of the banished prince and nephew to the poisoned emperor, and he's living under heavy guard in the residence of Winter's Dream.
So his initial lie wasn't malicious, but his true identity is a political time bomb.
A mass. Kang has to admit every fake name, the disguise, and he justifies his presence in Jia by explaining his primary motivation.
Which is advocating for the Lunju people.
His maternal family. They're suffering from drought, neglect, corruption, all these issues the palace.
But the danger isn't just Kang himself, it's his lineage. He's the son of the general of Kalon,
the regional military leader. And the rumors about the general are persistent and loud. He is not content with the tiger seal of regional command.
He covets the dragon, the imperial throne.
Right. So Kang, even if he is acting with the purest intent, is tethered to the single greatest political threat to Prince.
And this is the exact moment where Ning's personal quest and the fate of the entire empire.
And it forces the most devastating choice of the narrative. Princess Zen, desperate for intelligence, tasks Ning with monitoring Kang.
She needs to know if he's a naive advocate or if he's a spy for his father's impending coup. And Ning chooses the princess's path, but at a tremendous personal cost.
Huge cost. Yeah. She confronts Kang, but instead of using honesty, her own magical strength, she weaponizes deception. She fabricates her own set of lies.
Telling him their connection, their intimacy, it was all a pretense to gather information.
Which is just a dark mirror of her Shennong philosophy. She's using the language of truth-coaxing, but she's applying it to a cold, calculated political betrayal.
And the sources highlight the agony for her.
They do. Ning felt she needed to ensure the knife goes in as deep as possible, not just to convince Kang, but to convince herself that she was capable of the necessary cruelty required to survive court life and protect Shu.
She throws his own vulnerabilities back at him. She says she lied about being lonely, about needing to escape the palace.
And by accepting the role of the princess's pawn and betraying Kang, she completes her transition from this innocent apprentice to a ruthless political player. She sacrifices her ethical grounding and her genuine connection to achieve her goal.
What's fascinating here is the sheer hypocrisy has to...
Right. She has experienced that terrible moral backwash of using magic for compulsion, that taste of cruelty and power, and yet she performs this profound act of emotional violence on Kang. She forces him into a corner and severs their bond. This is the first dose of necessary darkness she willingly accepts to save her sister, and you just know it's going to haunt her.
So as this political tension is escalating, the true ancient engine that's driving all the chaos begins to turn.
It does. And the sources reveal that the poisoning of the emperor and the populace, it was never just about controlling the tea trade.
It was a frame-up.
A meticulously designed frame-up, intended to launch a mythological disaster.
And Chancellor Zhu, the seemingly unflappable voice of tradition, is the one who reveals a key piece of this.
Yes, he reveals the specific component of the poison in the tea brick, yellow kunbu. It's a type of seaweed unique to Linzhou,
Kang's maternal home.
Exactly. This links the poison directly and intentionally to Kang's family, providing a perfectly manufactured casus belli to blame and move against the general of Kazang.
The political framing is meticulous, but the scale of the threat is ancient.
It is. The poison is tied directly to Gongyu, the gold serpent. And this is where the deep dives from analyzing political maneuverings to analyzing the fate of the entire world.
So tell us about Gongyu. The origin story sets the stage.
The story goes that he was formed from the shadow of the Jade Dragon, emerging from the ocean. He grew jealous of humanity, seeing them as as playthings.
And he brought destruction.
Absolute destruction. He created what the texts call abominations that threatened the entire cosmic order of doctrine.
And the sources detail his core weakness, which is tied to his physical form.
He can't maintain a full physical state for long. He needs to possess a host, just an illusion of a human form. And critically, he needs to reclaim the 3 parts of his body that were violently removed millennia.
And Ning starts to encounter his influence directly.
Yes, in the shadow realm, or the shift, which is what she calls the space she enters during deep healing. It's the spiritual residue of the serpent's malice.
And she sees physical manifestations.
She does. A repulsive 3-headed snake is pulled from the wound of Rui, who is the princess's bodyguard.
And then in Shu's poison dream.
In Shu's dreams, Gongyu leers at Ning. He senses her desperate love for her sister, and he also senses her own recent foray into emotional manipulation. He smells the vulnerability on.
To understand the final conflict, we have to understand the containment. And that's where Lady Anne, the hermit, comes.
Yes. She reveals the 5 relics that the gods gathered to subdue Gongyu originally. It's a roster of mythological power, and each one has a very specific function.
Okay, let's break them down because they are the client.
First, we have Shennong's scale. This is a silver scale that sealed Gongyu's magic. It stops his power at the source. It prevents the active use of his dark art.
Okay, so that's the magical containment. What?
Second, Baifang's feather. This is sourced from the goddess of fire. And this isn't just a trinket. It was used to pull the massive serpent into range so the other gods could strike him.
So it's the attractor, the fire that draws out the shadow creature.
Precisely. Third is the black tiger's claw. This was a weapon used for precise physical excision. It was used specifically to cut out Gongyu's left eye.
Ouch!
It caused immense pain and limited his sight in the mortal realm.
Okay, what's number 4?
Fourth is Bixi's shell. Bixi is a mythical turtle-like creature known for its strength. The shell was used to bind the serpent, preventing him from using his elemental power, basically trapping him geographically.
And the last one is the most
brutal and the ultimate betrayal, the bone sword. It was crafted from Gongyu's own femur bone and hidden in the mountain.
So it's a weapon that can cut what cannot otherwise be cut.
Because it is literally cutting the serpent with a piece.
So Gongyu's current goal is the opposite of this. He needs to collect the 3 parts of his body that were removed and scattered.
Right, and we can track them through the story. The bone sword, the general of Kazalong acquired it, thinking it was just a powerful military relic.
He didn't know what he had.
Not at all. Then there's the jade eye, which is found, but its location is implied to be hidden until the climax. And finally, the crystal heart, which is also known as the night illuminating pearl.
And Nin eventually signs that crystal heart.
She does. But the fact that it was missing from the court to begin with tells you that the cycle of containment was already broken. The gods contained him, but they failed to secure all his remnants, leaving the seeds for his return.
The moment Gongyu's collection is near completion, the political landscape blows.
Completely. The general of Kaisalong returns from exile and launches his long-planned coup. He executes those loyal to Princess Zen and installs himself as Emperor Regent.
Claiming divine and military right cured the throne.
Yes, but the truly insidious part is the revelation of Chancellor Zhu's role. He is revealed to be Gongyu's host and puppet.
And he manipulated the general.
He manipulated the general by playing on personal tragedy. He's the one who revealed that the former emperor had killed Kang's mother as part of a plot to ensure the general would be sufficiently enraged and motivated to launch the coup.
So, ancient malice used personal sorrow and family betrayal as the ultimate trigger for a world-ending event.
Exactly. It wasn't about ambition. It was about justified revenge, weaponized by a parasitic god.
And this explains the moral complexity of Kang. His father's actions, while politically treasonous, were born from this deep personal loss that was engineered by the former regime. The moment the general seizes power, the narrative just turns incredibly dark.
It does. Chancellor Zhu, who we now know is Gongyu's host, implicates her in the murder of esteemed Kang.
A rival official, he actually killed himself.
Right. He declares Ning an enemy of the realm. She is imprisoned, a political fugitive, and ironically, her reluctant guard is Kang.
Who is now a high-ranking commander in his father's Blackwater battalion.
A battalion, it's revealed, that has deep connections to rebel factions. The whole situation is just a tangled mess.
And this incarceration, it's a test of her resolve and her fractured connection to Kang.
It is. And then she's leveraged by the Serpent's host. Chancellor Zhu needs Ning's Shennong expertise. He forces her on this desperate quest to Benengdo Gorge to acquire the final relic, the Crystal Heart.
The irony there is just phenomenal. The villain, knowing Ning's unique magical connection to these relics, has to use the hero to complete his own dark collection.
It's the ultimate manipulation.
So Ning successfully navigates the gorge and finds Lady Anne, the legendary hermit.
And she's revealed to be this ageless woman of immense power. And Lady Anne confesses that she herself stole the heart from the court long ago, knowing its power would eventually be misused.
And she facilitates the retrieval.
She does. She gives Ning a magic flower that guides her deep into a cavern pool where the crystal heart rests. The tension here is just immense. Ning has found the key to the antidote for her sister's poison, the culmination of her entire quest.
But it's also the final piece the serpent.
Exactly. The triumph is fleeting. Ning retrieves the pearl, but Chancellor Zhu, as Gongyu, immediately arrives with Kang and steals it. The collection is complete.
And Gongyu's plan is now fully manifest.
Yeah. He will use the General of Kathilang, who is the strongest physical vessel available during the inevitable political clash when Princess Zen marches on the capital. The serpent will take full possession during the heat of battle.
Ning manages to escape.
She does. She returns to Princess Zen's camp with his critical intelligence and her knowledge of the other containment relic.
And the final confrontation takes place during the march on the capital, centered on the Hall of Eternal Light.
Right. And the sources detail the preparations for this final ritual containment, and it's a perfect intersection of politics and magic. Ning and Shu, now healthy and focused, prepare themselves in a place called the Shadow of the Drum.
And this isn't a quick spell?
No, ceremonial effort. They use tea, lingzi mushroom, and yungzi root to empower and focus their magical reserves.
And they possess two crucial containment relics.
They do. Ning uses Shennong scale, that silver disc fragment, not just to block the serpent's magic, but to cut their own bonds and magical tethers to the courtly system.
It's a symbolic separation as much as a practical.
Absolutely. And then Shu, she's armed with Baifang's feather, the fire goddess's artifact. She uses it as a fan to summon fire, and she ignites the highly flammable wooden panels of the Hall of Eternal Light.
And this fire is devastatingly precise. It does two things.
First, it forces Gongyu's shadow soldiers and minions to focus on defense, which fragments their concentration. But more importantly, it disrupts Gongyu himself while he is mid-transfer.
He's trying to possess the general.
He is. The text describes his human skin, Zhu's skin, literally slipping away as he tries to fully possess the general. The fire breaks his magical concentration. It prevents the complete physical manifestation of the serpent. He is momentarily vulnerable.
And this opens the window for the ultimate agonizing sacrifice.
The immediate total containment of the serpent. And Kang is forced to stand by and watch as all 6 containment relics, the scale, claw, shell, eye, heart, and sword, are sealed into his father's living body.
Gongyu is trapped, entombed within the man who was once the general of Kai.
And the aftermath is just this quiet horror. The general, now a living vessel for the ancient evil and all the binding relic, is sealed underground in chains at Lingyi Monastery.
And the physical evidence of the binding is permanently marked.
Yes, a gaping hole where his eye should be, cut out by the tiger's claw relic. He is the price.
Princess Zen ascends as empress, finally securing the throne. And Ning, having achieved her initial personal goal of saving Shu, she finally returns to the capital to find her own place in this new order.
Her personal arc is complete, but she is deeply changed. Ning and Kang share one final intimate moment before his life of isolation, tethered to the containment of his father.
They both acknowledge the profound, painful price of their...
They do. She is now free to walk among the nobles who owe her the stability of the empire, but she consistently chooses to mingle with the commoner. She connects back to the ethical simplicity of her Sioux province upbringing and the philosophy of the revolutionary body.
The illusion of the court has been thoroughly shattered for her. It truly is an astonishing deep dive. From a single poisoned cup of common tea, the fate of the great empire of Dax.
It's wild to think about. The scale of the threat was world-ending, yet the solution came not from grand armies.
No, it came from a small group of tea apprentices, a conflicted prince's son, and a fiercely determined princess.
All leveraging this quiet, almost domestic magic against ancient hungry gods.
What stands out most profoundly for me in the analysis is the inversion of expected loyalty.
Oh, absolutely. Chancellor Zhu, the man who represented tradition, order, the sanctity of courtly decorum, he was the voice of reason.
And he was the serpent's main hope.
Twisting human institutions for ancient malice. He wore the mask of Doxy's history, and underneath it was just this void.
And conversely, you have Kang, the son of the traitor.
Right. Despite being caught in this web of lies and serving his father's coup, he proved loyal not to the palace hierarchy, but to the people of Lanzhou and ultimately to the idea of containment.
He was forced to witness his father become a living tomb, but his final actions served the stability of the empire.
And that complexity, that the people you are told to trust are corrupt and the person you should fear is honorable, that is the true knowledge nugget Ning carries forward.
Ning achieved her initial goal, She saved Shu.
And then she achieved a far greater one, saving the empire. But she paid a profound personal cost in ethical compromise, didn't she? She had to use deception and experience that taste of cruelty to succeed.
She returned to Jia, and she chose the honest, grounded life of the commoners over the superficial grandeur of the nobility.
She realized that true power resided not in the robes or the titles, but in the integrity of the herb she back to her roots.
And that leads us to a provocative final thought, something for you to mull over. The serpent, Gongyu, is contained. He's trapped deep beneath Lingyu Monastery, a living secret that binds the new emperor's reign.
But the fragments of his power, the darkness, the anger, the sorrow, they were deeply felt by both Ning and Kang.
So if knowledge is most valuable when it's understood and applied, how much of that necessary dark must they now carry?
They're survivors who had to compromise their ethics to protect.
Exactly. So how long until the never forget inscribed on the general stone monument, which is a silent warning to Empress Sen, how long until that ceases to be a reminder of the sacrifice and becomes a prophecy of the next disruption?
The darkness is contained, but its lessons are now internalized.
We're taking the stack of sources you provided, this incredibly rich fantasy world, brimming with, just layers of detailed mythology and political history. And we're going to extract the most essential knowledge and hopefully some stunning insight.
We are absolutely immersing ourselves in a cosmic drama today, one set across what's known as the 6 realms. And, this narrative, it really goes beyond a simple good versus evil story.
Oh, way beyond.
It's meticulous framework. It's all built on the concept of cosmic balance, the real danger of forbidden emotions, and a central, almost shocking revelation,
which is
that the life force of the gods themselves, their very immortality, is intrinsically linked to the short, messy, emotional lives of humanity.
That's the core of it, right there. And the story is anchored by our protagonist, Guxu. Her starting point is, it's truly the bottom rung of society. She's a yuhu.
An undesirable.
Exactly. Shackled by debt, physically marked by this brutal scar on her face. Yet her tenacity, seated sense of morality she has, and her absolute mastery of the scholar's instrument, the kin. It launches her on a journey that will take her across all 6 planes of existence and, in the end, completely redefine the meaning of divinity itself.
So our mission today is to, first, synthesize the detailed hierarchy of the celestial and mortal realm. We need to trace the system's inherent contradictions, which are, frankly, massive.
And then we expose the hidden the one that involved corrupted gods and a deadly poisonous flower.
And finally, we'll chart Guxu's incredible evolution, her journey from a disgraced, indebted musician to the new, immensely powerful keeper of the...
So we're going to start at the absolute top. We'll map out the structure of this universe, and then we're going to drill down into the deep, almost existential secret that keeps the celestial court functioning, even as it actively hunts the very source power.
Okay, so to really appreciate the impossible task Guxu faced, we first have to lay out the cosmic geography. It's essential. The entire existence is divided into these 6 realms.
6 realms, right. And they're not all equal. They're grouped under 2 great governing bodies. Is that right? The heavenly stars and the twin dark moons.
Exactly. It's a fundamental duality.
So let's start where the power is centralized. The heavenly stars is the big one. It governs the celestial and spirit. The ultimate authority here is the sky sovereign.
Often revered as the sun.
Yeah.
A very solar, masculine power.
Right. And he's supported by the female divine power, his sky consort, Xuanu. But their legitimacy, it seems to be rooted in an even older figure, the retired elder god.
The heavenly mother of numinous radiance, yes. She's now in this dignified seclusion within the crystal palace.
So right off the bat, you have this clear patriarchal, solar-centric power structure. It's obsessed with light, with order, and crucially with detachment.
And that's the key word, detachment. Now, counterbalancing that solar order, you have the twin dark moon. They preside over the demon and ghost realms.
Which the Celestials just dismiss as places of chaos, right?
They do, but as we'll find out, they hold their own form of very complex order. This region is led by the Moon Sovereign, and he has the fearsome demon lord as his second in command.
So this duality, sun and moon, light and dark, it's fundamental to everything. But what's so fascinating is how the narrative constantly challenges the assumption that the light side is inherently good and the dark side.
It completely subverts it. The lines are so much blurrier than the Celestials would have you.
Okay, so that distinction between realms is vital. Let's break down the first, the celestial realm. This is the highest, the seat of power. It's governed by the skies, but it's maintained by a really complex bureaucracy.
Oh, very. And we really need to focus on the 6 rising stars of the celestial court, because they're not just, symbolic figures on a tapestry.
They're the functional pillars of the whole.
They are the machine operators of the cosmos. Absolutely. You've got the Star of Protection, who's basically the general, trading the celestial army, maintaining the physical border.
Standard stuff.
Then there's the Star of Ordnance, who executes decrees. He's the enforcer, a role that becomes, well, particularly dark later in this story.
We'll put a pin in that one. So if you're trying to figure out why the Sky Sovereign's rule is even stable, the sources say you need to look at two specific figures.
That's right. The whole thing hinges on it's the Star of Fortune and the Star of Pillars.
Okay, break those down for us. What do they actually?
So the Star of Fortune maintains the mortal tapestry, and that's literal. They weave and align the threads of fate and destiny for every single mortal. It's a position that requires this incredibly deep knowledge of humanity.
So they're the keeper of stories, in a way.
In a very real way. Meanwhile, the Star of Pillars maintains the spirit tree. Think of it as the cosmic anchor. It ensures the flow of spiritual energy between the realms. Without it, everything collapses.
So those two roles, Fortune and Pillar, their foundation, their integrity is what Sixth Realm imploding.
Precisely. The other two, the Star of Governance and the Star of Balance, they handle administration, border patrols. Important. But Fortune and Pillars are the keepers of cosmos.
That's the top managed. Moving down from there, we find the second realm, the spirit realm,
which is described as the birthplace for most celestials, governed by four major flower, bird, tree, water.
And this is where the system starts to show its aristocratic side. Our sources mention these spirit tributes.
Yeah, they're young individuals chosen from these influential lineages, essentially groomed and trained for the celestial. It's a direct feeder system into the first realm's power structure. If you're not from one of these clans, your chances are slim.
It's an internal club. And that whole system is entirely separate from the vast majority of mortal.
A place of immense spiritual and political neutrality. It's ruled by immortal Emperor Shunbin. But what's really fascinating is the division of labor when it comes to life and death.
This is a huge point. The Celestials technically govern the living, but the afterlife, that's a different story.
It is. The demon realm's ghost realm manages the mortal afterlife. This split jurisdiction is a crucial historical relic. It signals that the celestial realm's authority is not, and has never been, absolute. The demon realm holds a deep claim over the most fundamental cycle of death and rebirth.
That's a massive concession, isn't it? It puts the mortal realm right in the middle of this cosmic tug of war between these two great opposing powers.
It really does.
And critically, the sources confirm that mortals can potentially ascend. They can gain enough spiritual affinity to reach the celestial realm, but only if they pass the highly selective and, by all accounts, incredibly painful rite of ascension.
And that brings us to the beliefs that govern the Celeste. They're rigid, and it's this very rigidity that breeds the spectacular corruption Gongyu ends up uncovering.
The centerpiece of their faith is the absolute reject of the Forbidden Seven.
The seven emotions: joy, anger, sadness, fear, love, hate, and desire. They see these universally as a mortal affliction. The ultimate source of corruption. Celestials are supposed to aspire to a state of purity, total detachment, and duty. They are, in essence, trying to run a vast cosmic government based on a policy of bureaucratic emotion.
But that detachment, that's the source of the ultimate hypocrisy, isn't it?
It is, because the historical archives, the ones they try to keep hidden, prove that when the children of the first gods tried to live in this isolated, perfect purity,
their magic
it began to wane. The inescapable truth is that the life force of the gods, their ability to maintain immortality in the realms themselves, is directly tied to the survival of humanity.
So the constant cyclical churning of mortal life, birth, death, rebirth, all the messy emotions that go with it, that's the very energy source that fuels the celestial machine.
You've got it. The very thing they deem corrupt is the engine of their immortality.
So if they know this, why maintain that level of disdain? Why look down on mortals so much if they're basically your power?
Fear. Simple, profound fear. They're terrified that if they experience the seven emotions, they'll become vulnerable. They'll experience the pain and ultimately the demise that mortals face. They are terrified of becoming human.
Wow.
And this brings us to what makes Gongyu, despite her lowly status, so incredibly important: the concept of the spark.
The spark. I love this idea. It's the remnant of the first god's magic, a tiny piece of it residing within every single living mortal soul. It signifies their innate celestial.
Yes, even the lowest, most insignificant mortal possesses this sliver of primordial divinity. And that potential is what's rigorously tested in the trial of ascension.
And the descriptions make it clear this is not a gentle exam.
Not at all. It's an agonizing process of physical, mental, and spiritual torment. It demands that the mortal entirely shed their past existence, their old self, all their emotional baggage. It's designed to purge them of everything celestial culture deems undesirable.
So few survive it, and those who do are fundamentally remade.
Completely.
So let's just recap the system. The Celestial Court takes energy from mortals, despises their nature, and then forces the few who try to ascend to undergo a torturous ritual to prove they are no longer tainted by their own.
That foundation of fear and control is the key. It creates a universe where the most powerful beings are operating from a core weak, their own terror of feeling anything at all.
Okay, so moving from that rarefied air of the celestial realm, we drop right down to Gokju's reality. And it is a world defined by absolute scarcity and class prejudice.
Gokju is a Yehu the undesirable, and this status was applied to the families, the wives and children of disgraced court officials. It was a kind of lifelong collective punishment that strips them of all rights and social standing.
The sources paint a really grim picture of this. You are literally defined by your relatives' failure forever.
And this low status is, as you said earlier, literally etched upon her. She carries a scar, a deep gash across her brow that she suffered in childhood. In a society that places this paramount importance on perfection, grace, beauty, this scar is a physical mark on her record.
A visible reminder of her tragic past that she can never hide. It's constantly telling everyone who she is and where she comes from.
Her only buffer against this, her only refuge, was the House of Flowing Water. And this was a place secured for her by her beloved uncle, Tang Guanyu. He had written a wildly successful play for the owner, Madame Wu, or Auntie Wu, which settled a major debt of favor.
And Madame Wu herself is such a fascinating character. She's described as this commanding, phoenix-like figure, always dressed in rich scarlet.
Yes, and the education she enforced there was so paradoxical, it was extensive. Gukri learned etiquette, history, philosophy, the art of serving. It was all preparing her for a life of subservience.
Yet there was this one exception. Madame Wu had this great respect for Gokju's hands. She deemed them too precious for kitchens, reserving them strictly for music.
And that training focuses our attention on Gokju's ultimate skill, her musical mastery. She devoted herself completely to the kin.
The seven-stringed scholar instrument, it's the pinnacle of refinement, of high culture.
It is. It's a quiet, introspective instrument meant for contemplation. But in Gokju's hands, it became her voice. Where she fell short in, say, the mandatory grace of calligraphy or the finesse of witty conversation, her music spoke volumes.
It could express the deep elegance demanded by her society, but also the raw fury and dissent she felt against it.
That distinction is so crucial. She's playing an instrument designed for refined, celestial-like detachment, but she's pouring the forbidden seven emotions into every single note. Her music is a slow-burn rebellion.
And that rebellion, that connection to her art, was fostered by her uncle Tang Guanyu, the traveling. He was her anchor.
Her only real family.
Yeah. And even though Gokju eventually surpassed him in technical skill, he was the one who provided that constant reassurance, that unconditional love. His final gift to her basically sealed her death.
The rare Su Wei kin, known as the Bird and the Scholar, crafted by an artisan who was rumored to infuse instruments with actual magic.
So this instrument isn't just a prized possession. We learn it's a repository of cosmic secrets.
The key waiting for the right lock.
But the fragile life Gokju had built for herself just shatters when news arrives that Uncle Tang Guanyu's caravan had been attacked by bandits near a place called Wudan. He died there.
And here's the brutal reality of her status as a Yehu. Uncle's death left his considerable debt to the House of Flowing Water unsettled.
So Gokju was now bound in servitude until her own death.
Her future was gone. Her entire life now belonged to Madame Wu. All those dreams she had of traveling the mortal realm, of being free, they were just erased.
But even in that resignation, her spirit flared. During her main stage debut, she's playing this piece, The Tragedy of Consort Xiang. And for a moment, she has this flash of validation. She feels seen, not as a Yuhu, but as an artist.
And then minutes later, she's confronting Jiang Erlang, a powerful minister's spoiled second son who was assaulting Anjing, another apprentice.
Her defiance here is such a key moment. It really defines her character. She knew that intervening meant risking what little she had, her entire precarious existence. But she chose morality over self-preservation.
It's the first time her forbidden compassion and anger put her in direct physical danger.
And it's right after this confrontation, in the immediate aftermath, that Duke Meng Jinglang arrived.
And he is the complete opposite of the corrupt Jane Erlang.
Totally. His initial offer is just to purchase her highly valuable kin, which immediately offends Gokju. She just sees him as another entitled collector.
And the sources really emphasize his awkwardness. He's completely unaware of Wudan society manners. He's easily corrected, deeply apologetic. This contrast between her refined, trained control and his noble but, well, fumbling social skills is so striking.
But that superficial social drama is very quickly overshadowed by a cosmic threat, a Ravager attack on Wudan.
And the description of this beast is terrifying. It's like a giant cat, but covered in these colorful glass-like protrusions, and it's wielding this vicious spiked tail.
Ravagers are monstrous, corrupted creatures. Mortals should not be able to see them or even believe they exist, but Jinglang does. He swiftly dispatches it with his sword, and in that moment, his true power is revealed.
But the truly crucial moment here isn't the fight. It's Guxu's reaction. Jinglang notes that a normal mortal should only see a ferocious, albeit strange, animal.
But Guxu saw its true visage. She saw the chaotic, unnatural form of a corrupted celestial being.
And that is the first unmistakable evidence of her spark fire. Her innate celestial potential is manifesting outside of the official trial of ascension. This marks her as special, and it makes her highly dangerous to the celestial court.
And that realization leads directly to Jinglang stops pretending to be a simple collector. He reveals he was sent there because of her uncle's last letter, which asked...
And to pay off the new contract she just incurred by protecting Anjing and saving his life in the garden, he offers to settle her entire debt to Madame Wu.
But there's a price, in exchange for 3 years of service as his musician at his remote Meng.
The promise is true freedom after. He promises a good reference, help securing a position in a respected academy. It's everything she ever wanted.
So she accepts. She believes she's finishing her uncle's unfinished business, choosing the mystery of the celestial realm over the certain misery of being a yoo-hoo for the rest of her life.
It's moving from a crowded, miserable existence to a remote mountain manor. It sounds like a massive step up.
But it's really just exchanging one cage for another, one defined by social debt and the other defined by cosmic politics she can't even begin to understand yet.
The Manga State itself is the perfect setting for these hidden secrets to unfold. It's described as a sprawling Siheiyuan-style manor, but it's surrounded by this pervasive fog and an unnatural stillness.
That's a key detail, isn't it? The sources explicitly note there are no calls of birds, no drone of insects.
It's the physical manifestation of the fact that they are operating outside the normal flow of mortal time and space. And Jinglang is confirmed to be a celestial duke, managing a domain that borders the divine.
And he immediately appears burdened by it. We learn about Jinglang's burden pretty early on. He's frequently ill. He suffers when he uses even small amounts.
Yes. And that's because his family suffered a major political retribution. Their celestial power was stripped from them as a punishment, leaving him with only the bare minimum of essence required to fulfill his hereditary duty.
Which is to be the keeper of...
Exactly. So the very act of using his magic for anything else, like when he later heals a cut on Guxu's cheek, it causes him sharp physical pain. It's a literal toll for stepping outside the boundaries that the court has set.
So his power is also his prison, and this is where the local mystery starts then, with the arrival of the maid brew.
She is shut, icy, cold, and openly disapproving of Guxu from the very beginning. She sees her as this unworthy mortal interference state.
And Guxu's curiosity, which is one of her defining traits, leads her to find a very expensive, high-quality gold and ruby hair in Danru's ring.
And when confronted, Danru admits it belonged to her dead mistress, Rulan. And then she drops the bombshell that Rulander turned into a ravager.
Okay, let's pause here because this concept of turning is so critical. It's mentioned casually, but in this world, turning is a celestial's absolute worst nightmare.
It absolutely is. The turning is the process where a celestial being, usually through some forced, intense exposure to the forbidden 7 emotions, is corrupted. They lose their form, their sanity, and they become one of those savage, chaotic, monstrous ravagers.
It's not a natural death. It's a painful, humiliating, and supposedly irreversible transformation. And Roland's case was investigated and closed, just filed away as a singular, unfortunate...
But Guxu isn't buying the closed file, and she doesn't have to for long. She encounters Yingzi, one of the gardeners, who was always sleepy and seems to be trying to hide from everyone.
And Yingzi reveals she is from the Flower Clan. That's one of the 4 major spirit realm clans.
Right, and she cryptically instructs Guxu to find a banned book, Twilight's Begonia, to learn about the terrible thing that happened in the Celestial Court. So now, the estate's personal tragedy is directly connected to high-level cosmic treason.
So Guxu now has a mission. She needs answers. And that brings her to the Archive of Dreams,
where she meets Zuxi, the celestial librarian. He's an interesting character, a former mortal who successfully completed the rite of ascension, and he's the one who confirms that Duke Meng Jinglang manages the dreaming.
Okay, so we need to nail down exactly what the dreaming is. It's not just, people's dream.
No, not at all. If you think of the 6 realms as separate continents, the dreaming is the spiritual highway system. It's the nexus, the invisible bridge that allows for travel and, more importantly, communication between all planes of existence.
And Jinglang is the keeper of the traffic, the one who ensures balance and flow across this entire network.
That's his burden. And Zuxi also confirms that the previous mistress, Ruan, did indeed turn, but the investigation was abruptly terminated, swept under the rug.
The key to unraveling all of this, then, lies in the kin, the instrument her uncle gave her.
Yes, Jinglang finally confirms that the instrument contained memory jewels. These are literally solidified celestial tears.
And they were banned. Why would you ban something like that?
Because they contained the very emotions the celestials sought to transcend. They were seen as a risk, something that could encourage earthly passion.
The disease they were all so afraid of catching. So Gupshu has to use specific, highly emotional songs to release the secrets locked.
Exactly. And this is where we stop just listing secrets and we start to live the narrative of discovery right alongside her. She plays the first tune.
And Jewel 1 is released. It's not some grand political moment, is it? It's incredibly intimate.
It is. It shows her uncle, Tang Guanyu, and a figure named Elder Gao, who we later learn is Jinglang's Shifu, his master sharing a meal, and they are happy. They're into it.
So that immediately reveals the central forbidden truth. Her mortal uncle was involved in a long-term, loving relationship with a celestial.
It confirms the violation of their most sacred rule, the rule of detachment, but it does so through a memory of profound peace and simple joy, the very things the court fears most.
Then she plays the second tune, Geese Flying Southerly, and this one is devastating.
Jewel 2 forces Guksu to relive the supposed bandit attack near Wudan, but the scene is much older. It shows a younger Guksu, a child, being thrown by a ravager. She suffers a deep gash on her forehead that created her scar.
And a fatal wound in her side.
Yes. The memory shows her uncle holding her broken, dying body while Elder Gao fights off the beast.
This is the moment then. The moment Guksu realizes she didn't just survive that attack, she died.
She did. She was resuscitated, reborn through a magical sacrifice made by her uncle and Elder Gao. Her life is a deliberate construction, an act of forbidden love and magic that has permanently bound her life force to celestial power.
So she's not just a mortal with a spark, she's a remade being. This explains everything. It's why she saw the Ravager's true form back in Wudan. She has celestial essence woven into her very soul.
And can you imagine the weight of that secret for her uncle? He didn't just almost lose a child. He had to live every day with the knowledge that her new life depended on his forbidden connection to Elder Gao and that her very existence made her a target for the court.
It's an incredible burden. Okay, so what about the final memory? Jewel 3, released by a piece called White Moon, River Overlay.
This one is pure political foreshadowing. It shows a man named Chen Wen, who is Prince Zhu and betrothed to Jinglang's sister Lingwei. And he's searching for the Star of Fortune's sword.
Which is weird. Why would a prince be looking for the personal weapon of a god who manages fate?
It introduces a confusing element. It implies he's involved somehow, but we don't yet know if he's a friend or foe. The plot thickens.
And just as things couldn't get more complicated, the local tension becomes cosmic tension. Lady He, the high priestess of the ordinance, arrives at the estate.
And she is also Jinglang's mother.
And she is immediately hostile. She sees Guche not as a person, but as a mortal creature who should be kneeling in her presence.
Her theory is less about her son's choice of musician and more about the presence of a mortal who threatens to expose all the family's secrets.
Which leads to Jinglang's critical revelation. He lays it all out.
He confirms everything. Uncle Tang Guanyu was the mortal lover of Elder Gao, who is none other than the Star of Fortune, the foundational god responsible for maintaining the entire mortal tapestry.
So the god of fate gave it all up for...
He sacrificed his celestial core, his magic, his immortality, all to live a true human life with the man he loved, and the court did not.
And the conspiracy deepens even further. Jinglang reveals that his own father, Meng Wujin, the previous Duke of Dream, was banished to the horrific Tower of Suffering.
Simply for trying to reopen the investigation into the death of the flower.
So the corruption doesn't just touch the stars, it resides at the absolute core of the ruling family.
And this brings us to the ultimate betrayal. Jinglang clarifies that what happened to Uncle and Elder Gao wasn't a random bandit attack. They were hunted deliberately, and Rulin's turning was orchestrated.
But the most shocking revelation is that the supposedly benevolent ruler, the Sky Sovereign, Chidi, the glorious sun, was in a conspiracy with an ancient, malevolent entity known only as...
Wait, the sun god himself is in league with an entity of chaos. That's fundamentally self-defeating logic. If the Sky Sovereign needs mortal life force to survive, why would he actively hunt the Star of Fortune, Elder Gao, the very being who maintains the mortal tapestry?
That's the key question, isn't it? And the answer is that the Sky Sovereign's motivation isn't stability. It's absolute fear-based control. He needed power beyond what the Heavenly Mother would grant him, so he made a deal.
He found the Deceiver, an entity that originated as a chaotic flaw in the original creation by the goddess Nuwa, and he trapped her in the Tower of Suffering. He then used the tower's inherent magic, a power called the Burning Lotus, to maintain his control over the six.
So he was twisting the cosmic foundation for his own personal gain. He wasn't stabilizing his rule through virtue, but through a constant low-level drain of primordial chaos magic.
So the Celestial Court wasn't being maintained by pure order at all. It was being propped up by a corrupt deal with the devil.
Exact. And the final local piece of the puzzle falls into place. Danru's role. During a confrontation in a place called the Wall of Dreamers, Danru is exposed as the local orchestrator. She was acting under direct orders from the high priestess, Lady He.
And Gushu, using a Xiao bamboo flute instead of her kin, contacts Ruling's goat.
And Rulin reveals the truth, that Danru, a bird clan princess, was driven by jealousy. She was the one who forced Rulin to ingest the poisonous begonia flower to initiate the catastrophic turning transformation.
The very cruelty that the Celestials condemned in mortal. Jealousy, malice, resentment, that was what ultimately fueled the political machinations of the highest court.
The celestial belief system didn't eliminate the forbidden emotions at all. It just turned them into tools for systemic oppression.
So with Gushu now aware of the full, horrifying scope of the conspiracy, she becomes the ultimate threat to the regime.
She knows everything.
Everything. So Lady He, the high priestess, ensures Gushu is captured and sent to the Tower of Suffering. This place is the ultimate manifestation of the Celestials' fear. It's designed to break beings by forcing them to endure the full psychological weight of all 7 forbidden emotions at once.
And inside the tower, Gushu comes face to face with the true source of all this rot, the deceiver.
But the entity doesn't appear as some monster. It appears wearing the face of Auntie Wu, of Madame Wu. It uses that familiar, commanding image to inflict psychological torture, forcing Gushu to confront all the dark aspects of her past lives and her current desperation.
The deceiver confirms her identity. She confirms she was woken by the Sky Sovereign, Chidi, that the sovereign, seeking total power, had used the tower's magic, the burning lotus, to corrupt himself and maintain his iron grip on the realm. She had been his silent, caged partner in this cosmic crime for eons.
That in a truly paradoxical act of empowerment, the deceiver gives Gushu something, the Flower Queen's begonia memory jewel.
And this memory reveals the true ancient history. It shows the queen's passionate love for the Moon Sovereign,
who was initially the Star of Protection before he fell from grace and formed the demon realm.
So this is the historical core of the entire conflict. The Celestial Court, fearing a promised great calamity if the celestial and demon realms were to unify through love.
They imprisoned the flower. This single act of fear and control directly triggered the catastrophic war that split the world into the 6 realms we see today.
So Gushu realizes she isn't fighting a new conspiracy. She's fighting the enduring legacy of the Celestials' very first act of fear, thousands of years ago.
Love, the most mortal affliction, was the reason the cosmos broke. And fear was the reason the Sky Sovereign betrayed his own kind. It all traces back to the very emotions the court tries so desperately.
Armed with this profound knowledge, Gushu now has to prepare for the final confrontation. And crucially, she is contacted by an ally from the demon realm.
Suron, the demon lord's con. She appears as this magnificent, terrifying giant being playing a powerful, resonant, and commanding plucked instrument, the zong.
And Surong becomes her final teacher. She instructs Gushu on how to use her unique connect to the news labor, dreaming how to shift spiritual energy, direct magic, heal, and travel the path.
The instruction is symbolic too. The kin is Guksu's introspective voice, focused on complex personal emotion. The zhong is command. It's a call to action. Guksu has to learn to take her internal emotion and project it externally to change the world.
So the demon realm, by embracing and trying to understand chaos and emotion, was able to offer the key to saving the realms. A key the Celestials, through their denial, could never have provided.
And the final confrontation is staged dramatically. It's during the spring festival at the Sky Consort Swanu's palace. The Sky Sovereign intends to execute his final power play there, accusing Chenwen and Jinglang of treason to cement his total control.
But his planned execution becomes the stage for the intervention.
Rulin, the former Flower Clan mistress, appears. She is restored, no longer a ravager, and she arrives alongside the Demon Lord. She is now the Demon Lord's consort.
And Rulin publicly and powerfully accuses Danru and the celestial authorities of forcing her turning. Danru, who is present, just shrieks in defeat. Her jealous malice is exposed for all to see.
And this is Gushu's definitive moment. Using the Flower Queen's jewel and channeling her unique celestial immortal essence through the dreaming, Shu transforms.
She sheds her mortality. She ascends fully into a being of immense celestial power, and she uses that power to project the memory of the Sky Sovereign, attacking the Moon Sovereign to the entire assembled court. She exposes his original treachery, his alliance with the Deceiver, everything.
The scale of his corruption is finally revealed. He is the dual sovereign, physically split between his original form and the influence of the Deceiver's essence, which had empowered and corrupted him for millennia.
And at that exact moment, the seal on the barren rift breaks, and ravagers begin pouring out, threatening to consume all the realm.
Now the stakes are existential. Jinglang and Shu understand that the Sky Sovereign can't just be defeated. The source of the chaos, the dual sovereign himself, must be contained, and the rift must be sealed.
And in an act of profound, selfless, cosmic sacrifice, Jinglang uses the last of his ancestral power, the full, untapped essence.
And he uses it to destroy the dreaming itself. He traps himself, the remaining Ravagers, and the dual sovereign within the imploding next. The realms are saved, but the sacrifice is absolute.
In the chaos that followed, Gongyu is the only one left standing with the unique, her mortal soul, her new celestial power, and the knowledge she gained from Suiron to bear the...
She uses her tremendous new power to restore the paths connecting the realms. She recreates the next, and in doing so, she becomes the new keeper of the dreaming.
The lowest of the low. She is now the cosmic anchor, managing the flow of fate and essence between all 6 planes of She finally gained the freedom she always sought, but it came with a burden far heavier than any debt she ever owed to Madame Wu.
We do get some moments of resolution, though, the ones that really pay off the emotional threads. Meng Wuzhen, Jinglang's father, the former Duke of Dream, is confirmed to be free from the Tower of Suffering. He survived the ordeal, though his exact status is unknown.
And perhaps the most profoundly moving detail of all, Guchu's beloved uncle Tang Guanyu.
He survived the original attack, and he's now living a secluded, quiet life in the mortal realm, playing Go with his true love, Elder Gao, the former Star of Fortune.
So Elder Gao's sacrifice of his celestial core wasn't in vain. It bought him the simple human life he desired all. The forbidden love that the celestial core tried, it ultimately small, perfect.
And Goshui, now a goddess, is bound by her cosmic duty, but she hasn't forgotten her humanity or the one who sacrificed everything for her. She continues to send letters, transformed into butterflies, messages of love and longing into the dreaming she now controls. She plays her kin, hoping her song will one day bring Jinglang home from the destruction he initiated.
Her story completely redefines heroism. It's not about the absence of emotion, but about the purposeful wielding of love and sorrow to save the world. #OutTETR.
So if we synthesize that core conflict, the narrative really exposes the profound danger of a power structure that's based on fear. The Celestial Court, driven by this terror of the Forbidden 7 emotion, created a system of hypocrisy and corruption under the Sky Sovereign. They were actively hunting the very thing, Elder Gao's sacrifice, the Flower Queen's devotion, love, passion, that could have made their universe whole in the first place.
And here's the true irony of it all, is the value of mortal life, as brief and messy as it may be, precisely its capacity for love, sorrow.
The very traits the Celestials feared.
Exactly. Yet those emotions, embodied by Guxu's tenacious spirit and Jinglang's ultimate sacrifice, they prove to be the key to restoring cosmic balance. Their story is this powerful argument that true divinity isn't found in detachment. It's found in purposeful, compassionate engagement with the world.
And you saw how Guxi, starting with the crushing status of a Yehu and an inescapable scar, she channeled her forbidden emotions and her skill with her music to become the crucial variable in a cosmic equation.
She was told her life was worth nothing.
And yet her intentional action, rooted in her love for her uncle and her sense of duty to Jinglang, shifted the entire tapestry of fate. The smallest, most insignificant thread, when played correctly, holds the power to remake the universe.
And we want to leave you with this final provocative thought to mull over. The source material mentions that Zuxi, the celestial librarian who helped Guxi, was never recovered after that final battle. He fell from the cliff. And it's speculated that he may have shed his celestial essence entirely and is now just wandering the mortal realm, having forgotten who he once was.
So if a celestial can achieve the ultimate escape true freedom by embracing the finality of mortal life, what does the burden of true immortality actually cost?
And if Zuxi is out there, living a simple, unknowing human life, has he found a truer, more meaningful form of existence than the one defined by the Celestial Court's rigid, fearful man?